Welcome back to our channel, State of the Industry. We got another special episode for you today. We're going to be talking about, man, we're all kids of the 90s here on the channel. It's quotable, it's timeless, it's epic, and it's served well with a slice of pizza. We're talking about Ninja Turtles. Yeah, so joining me today to discuss the very first live action Ninja Turtles film, I got Eric Johnson.
Hello, cowabunga.
Radical. Yeah, we also got Eric and my personal sensei. We got Mr. Sun Lu with us.
Hello, gentlemen.
Hello, Master Splinter. And then next up, and last but not least, never last, and certainly not least, we have Lucas with us.
Bitchin'.
Oh, you might have to bleep that one out. No, I'm kidding.
Yeah, I might have to believe it.
Well, I mean, it's a Raphael quote. So
No, it's fine. Man, I remember watching this as a kid and I thought it was the coolest thing ever. I love Ninja Turtles. They had a Saturday morning cartoon on at the time. And or was it after? Was it before or after, Lucas?
it was before.
Yeah, man. So, we saw the comics, we had the toy line, we had all these cool characters, and we are like, man, what is this? What is this that's gonna blow our minds as young adolescents?
Let me tell you, I wasn't ready. I remember the day I saw it. I didn't get to see it in the theater. I had just moved to the US not long before that, and we lived at this apartment complex. And some neighbors, a couple doors down, the kids were watching it, and they had ordered pizza, of course, and they come over, and I mean, I didn't even know what I was looking at, but I enjoyed the pizza, and came back home, and I was telling my brothers about it, and it's like, oh man, we got to go see this movie, and eventually we all saw it. But I mean, I remember that very fondly. It was quite something. The only thing that I had any reference for Ninja Turtles was watching the cartoons in Mexico, and in Mexico, they were dubbed, so I didn't know that Splinter was a rat. So I remember watching these green humanoids, going about, and then they meet up with this rat, and I always thought it was a wolf.
I could see that.
But that's a little kid, So
hmm I ain't gonna lie. At one point, I had a similar thought just because of the way the snout was, and he looked so badass that you never thought he was a rat. Unless you saw the tail, but still.
He does look a lot like an old wolf, kind of when you look at him. When now that I think about it, yeah.
hmm Yeah, that was great, man. Yeah, what were your thoughts of the first film, Eric?
I have to admit, it's been a long, long time since I've seen the first Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles movie. I admit,
hmm
I liked it though, from what I remember. It's that classic 90s odd edginess, darkness to everything. I remember it being so much different than kind of like, especially a lot of what you would see for like children's media today.
hmm
That 80s, early 90s, like that Don Bluth area of children's films and stuff like that, where you're just like, man, children's films were kind of oddly terrifying in the 80s and early 90s.
oh yeah,
It was a really just like visually dark. Even when it's daytime, they're always in like grungy apartments or like they're just all kind of like recuperating inside, like out in the rural parts. And they're just in someone's house, and the house is like super dark and everything is dimly lit all the time. But man, it was cool as shit to me.
Yeah, it was. I love that aesthetic. I think especially, last time we were talking about The Crow, and then we are talking about also before then he had just this really cool dark movie that we all loved too, which was like the 1989 Batman film. And I think carrying on with that dark aesthetic, which is so dope. Just like a few new Marvel trailers that just dropped, and it's great to see, the average audience kind of nitpick when they see obvious CGI because it's so overly used and overdone. And unfortunately, if you watch a movie trailer, it's all like rough visual effects anyway. None of it's finished, which is why people like to pick at it so much and think, oh, it's under budget. Like, no, that was just super early. They just had to get something out so you can see it in time, but that's not finished. But back then, the practical element, dude, of seeing those characters brought to life, like actual walking, talking turtles. That was epic, man. That's why it still looks good to this day. You can put it on and still appreciate it because nothing's going to really stick out, at least with those characters. It might be a little corny to you now. Some of those jokes might not land the same way, but yo, man, it's still as cool now as it was back then, I think.
Oh, it really was, man.
You got to give it to the costume designers.
Jim Henson.
Yeah, the costumes were so good. When I first saw the movie as a kid,
Mhm.
I couldn't wrap my mind around it. Like I almost thought they were like real. I didn't think about, there being actors wearing those costumes.
Yeah, same here. It took me a long time. You see them, they're, animated by robotics and stuff, but for a long time, I didn't know that there was little slits between where their eyes are, and that's where the actors were see through. Like how you said, I couldn't wrap my mind around that either. It's like, how are they doing this? And, little by little, as watch the movie, as much as I did, you pick up on parts where they can't hide the wires that lead up from the back of their shells, where most of the servos and gizmos were hidden.
Mm.
Mm.
Like, how are they seeing through this? It's quite amazing. All the hard work to the Jim Henson Company and, Jim Henson's genius, which the second movie was dedicated to. He had
Mm.
just passed away right before the second one came out. But I was going to say earlier to what you were saying, Mike, tying the Crow to the Turtles, they were shot in the same place,
Oh man.
Oh,
Wilmington, North Carolina. I've seen both movies quite a few times, and I want to say that I'm not entirely sure, but I want to say that one of the corners, at least where the fire was in the Ninja Turtle one, where Danny, the guy that betrays the turtles, and then April O'Neil's store goes up in flames,
Hmm.
is the same corner where the Crow he visits this store too, and there's an explosion. I mean, I have to look at it again, but I could swear like there's so many areas. I'm like, that looks really familiar, and I want to say that they were shot in the same place. Exactly what parts I couldn't tell you.
Oh wow. So that's like the explosion building.
Yeah,
Won't light a building on fire. There you go.
I want to say I'm not entirely 100% sure either, but the Shredder's hideout, that was also used as the hideout for the Crow's villain, Top Dollar.
Mm.
So some of it was in that same place.
Yeah, it's wild. It just reminds me of like times when you would see the Universal City backlot that's used in multiple movies. Like every time I see it, I just recognize like one street corner. I'm like, they're using that backlot.
Yeah, probably the more infamous or famous one is for the Back to the Future, the clock tower.
Oh yeah.
You see that and it's like you just know it.
Hmm.
There's no mistake. You just know it.
No, I think that's something that was really cool when you and I both worked at Paramount together, and we got to walk through those backlots.
Oh yeah, man, that was fun to do that. Just
Hmm.
yeah, check out places.
And you would just instantly recognize some things like, oh, wait, and then I know we had the eye automatically to be able to spot that kind of stuff out. But anyway, back to the turtles, man. There's four of us, right?
Yes,
So which turtle are you, Lucas?
I've always been like towards Leo, so I would say Leonardo.
Good choice. How about you, son?
well, back when I was a kid, I gravitated towards Raphael, but
Ooh.
I think I've grown, I've changed, I've grown a little wiser. I think I'm probably more Donatello now.
Oh, nice. So which one are you, Eric?
I've always been a Donatello fan. He's always been my favorite turtle. He was the smart turtle, and he had the bow staff. He had to kick people's asses without having any sort of lethal weapon. And in all the video games, he outreached the characters in all the video games, so he was always my first pick in the video games. I have to admit, the video games probably had a huge part on that too. You're just like, oh man, it's so much easier playing Donatello in these games.
Oh, I know
Mhm.
exactly what you mean.
Oh man.
It's like, sure, you have a faster attack speed with some of the other guys, but his range, you needed that on the NES and SNES. You needed that range.
Mhm.
I never did pass that game.
Oh,
It was difficult, but yeah, Donatello was the best, at least in that game to use.
that game was awesome, dude. I'm thinking I was like in downtown and they had like a barcade that had that game.
Oh, you're talking about the Turtles in Time arcade game, I'm assuming. Or actually, they had 1 through 3 and then Turtles in Time.
Yeah.
The arcade ones were good.
Mm-hmm. Those are great. I'm just thinking about those because now we have the luxury of playing those at home. I mean, back in the day, if it was an arcade game, man, you needed a cabinet that big to run that game. You were not going to be able to run a game of that quality on a home console at that time. Now it's spoiled because now you can have like a dozen of those games.
But it doesn't seem as special nowadays,
True.
because you have all of them and it's like, they're at your fingertips and, every now and then if if it really itches, you'll probably play it, but you're just bombarded with, so many options, and it doesn't
Hmm.
that same, feeling like from back in the days.
It's different, man. When your parents gave you like, okay, here's so many quarters, but make it last. You're there with your friends or you're randomly playing with someone else just never met, but you're like, yo, let's try to beat this game. I only got two quarters.
Yeah, it's true. You needed more people. The more people you had, the better you're gonna do. So it wasn't gonna cost you as much in the end because other people could at least aggro some of the enemies.
What about you, Mike? Turtle.
Michelangelo,
I
Yeah.
have to
because your name
say,
is Mike.
my name is Mike, and he was always the goofy, silly one. And I love the nunchaku, especially growing up being a huge Bruce Lee fan. And yeah, you're just fun. I think I naturally gravitate toward him, even though I don't really care for the color orange. Or am I really that big on like the goofy character? But yeah, being a kid, he's like, you just want to have fun, man. You know? And I always liked Michelangelo. He was always the one who was reminding the guys, hey, it's pizza time.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
Yep.
Hmm.
You know, the Turtles had a different name in the UK based on the Nunchaku.
Oh, really?
Yeah, yeah. So they weren't known as the Ninja Turtles out there. They were known as the Hero Turtles. There was, or there still is, like some law against nunchaku. So, like Michelangelo was targeted with that because they didn't want kids, with nunchucks. So they were known as the Hero Turtles out there.
Like, how
Oh,
many kids were getting like black eyes trying to swing those around?
I mean, that's a big part of why part two, The Secret of the Ooze, they were toned down. Like, I guess when you were watching it, you didn't see it because there was a lot of things going on. It was fun to watch. But, if you compare the second one to the first one, it's like more toned down in action and like darkness. It was really to sell toys
Yeah.
mostly. And it was released like almost a year later.
Oh, is that quick of a turnaround? Wow.
Yeah, that quick. Yeah.
Yeah, I remember all three coming out really quick, it seemed.
Hmm.
Yeah, I think three was
That was like 94 or something.
93.
If three was 93, then they were coming out once a year pretty much.
Yeah.
Because the original was 1990, so
Yeah.
gotta capitalize on that, on the momentum.
Oh, they did. They were doing as much as they could. There was the cartoons, the toys, the cereals, turtle pies. Um, I mean,
Ice cream too.
ice cream. That's right. The little
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
bubblegum ice creams. Yeah.
Hmm.
Uh-huh.
I
Yeah.
remember those. Yeah.
I used to buy those from the ice cream truck.
Hmm. Yeah. That was before I realized that they never wash their hands. And then I never went back.
Typical.
I grew up in an area without ice cream trucks, so
Oh my.
Oh, you missed out, man. You really did.
I know I visited suburbia on occasion when I was a kid, and I remember seeing ice cream trucks and being like, wow, suburbia is so much cooler than rural life. It's like you have nothing, there's no trucks to make you look forward to a time of day in rural life.
Yeah, I was about to say because like it doesn't matter how bad the area is. If you're in
Yeah.
inner city, there's gonna be an ice cream truck coming by your neighborhood. It's just one will be more fortified than the other.
Do they still have ice cream trucks? I feel like I just haven't seen an ice cream truck in years.
I haven't
But
seen one, but there is. I mean, at least the last time I saw one here in Vegas was maybe a year, 2 years back.
Mm.
You're right.
it's like, do they still go down the street, kind of like that house to house thing? Or it's like, because I feel like every time I've seen something that's like ice cream or soft serve, it's just kind of done as like a food truck. So it's just
Mm.
like, yeah, it sits there next to the other food truck or something like that. And it's like, ah, we have ice cream. You're like, it's just not the same. You don't have the music, and
Yeah.
it doesn't bring me the joy that the ice cream truck going down the street did.
No, it doesn't.
It's true. Like if there isn't that threat of you being kidnapped, not the same.
True.
Ah, man, it's so classics. I remember, yeah, the first one had strong emotional beats, especially when they're looking for Splinter and wondering if he's okay. And they all like gather together and like meditate, had that
Mm.
Zen quality. And then you see like Spirit Splinter appear before them.
Very Star Wars. But yes,
That hit. I just thought about it and that hit hard.
it did. Yeah, it gets me all the time, man. Every time I watch it, it gets me. 'Cause, you know, it's powerful, you know, character development and you're getting attached to their cause and everything. And it just shows you how important character building is and, you know, just the believability of these suits that people animated and, you know, did their work to make them believable. So it does hit home.
Yeah, speaking of character development and the arcs, they did a great job with like Raphael in the movie. Typically, that's like in every incarnation, that's always the setup. You know, like Leo's the leader who's trying to come into his zone and lead his brothers into battle. And then you have Raphael, who's like the hothead, who gets himself into trouble, who always clashes with Leo and wants to do things his own way. And if it was up to him, it would just be him by himself, and he wouldn't really be part of the group. So, of course, you know, on one of his ventures out without his brothers really knowing what he's up to. You know, of course, he has a run in with a huge fan favorite character.
Hmm.
Anytime he's not in a game, oh, speaking of, we all got to team up and play that latest beat 'em up Ninja Turtles game because he's in
Mm.
there, and that's none other than Mr. Casey Jones.
Played by, I don't know if I'll say his name right, but Elias Koteas.
Hmm.
Yeah, favorite of mine too. You know, going to what you said, Mike, I gotta throw some info in there.
Mm.
According to Partners in Crime, Raphael is the leader of the group.
Mm.
The group that sings Turtle Power.
Hmm.
Yeah, according to them, he's the leader of the group.
Oh man, I gotta listen back to that song.
Cool song, man. The soundtrack to the movie, you know, had a lot of cool, you know, music of the times, but, you know, also, you know, geared to like the younger audience. You know, of course, it had MC Hammer, which, you know, he was big at the time in there. So a lot of cool things just peppered throughout the movie. Let's see. I don't know if you guys know this, but according to, you know, a bunch of people and, you know, a bunch of comic lovers and, you know, things like that, if you really think about it and you start connecting dots, the turtles were transformed by this ooze, right?
Hmm.
And in the comic books, there's also another character that kind of gets his powers through some truck that's transporting, you know, this material, and a canister falls and, you know, lands on a very young, you know, Matt Murdock. If you guys don't know the name, that's Daredevil. So it
Hmm.
blinds him. He gets trained later on by a particular teacher by the name of Stick. So
Uh-huh.
yeah, so if you start connecting the dots, the turtles were transformed by that same ooze. The Splinter was obviously named after Stick.
Well, and the main enemies are called the Foot Clan,
Yes.
and the main enemies in Daredevil are the Hand.
Yeah. So yeah, that's quite interesting.
Hmm. Yeah, I heard that was the original idea from the creators was to kind of play off of that. Were they fans of Daredevil?
Yeah, yeah.
I've
Yeah.
got to imagine.
Yeah, right. No, but yeah, but their designs were great because the creators, like they did just something like that was just fun for them. And I think Shredder was like the first villain, right? And they like right away killed him off, if I remember correctly.
Yeah,
Um,
I remember the original was like the actual comics were dark. They were
yeah.
yeah,
not made for kids.
not at all. You know, I'm a big fan, so I know a lot of little tidbits, but you know, the creators, Eastman and Laird, I guess they were just having fun, you know, drawing things and decided to draw a little turtle, you know, add a little mask, add a weapon, and they went back and forth, and then eventually they came up with the four, you know, turtles and their weapons and, you know, the names, you know, from the Renaissance artists. But, you know, when it came to Shredder, like the villain, you know, they're like just looking around, you know, at their place and, you know, they just see a cheese grater. And he's named after a cheese grater because it shreds.
It
I mean, that's a cool name too, you know, the Shredder.
is. That's fun.
Oh yeah, and also fun fact, right? Like the whole thing of them eating pizza was because of the cartoon, right? Like the original didn't have that in there.
I don't think so.
Or like the whole like cowabunga surfer slang that was popular at the time.
Yeah, capitalize on, you know, making it more kid friendly, but none of that was in the original. And you know, when the original comic first came out, it was actually a misprint. They actually printed larger than the size of the comic book was more like legal size.
Hmm.
So the first run prints of the comic book worth quite a bit because they were misprinted.
Oh
Do you
wow.
have a copy?
I do not, sadly.
Oh,
I didn't know about them until just after the movie came out. So just like The Crow, after the movie came out, everything's a little late in the game, but
mm,
nice to have a copy of that. At the time, a lot of movies like that would release tie-ins, whatever they could, but they had a tie-in comic book, chronicle the whole movie. Some things were a little different, but I did have that for a little bit. It was a fun read, just a slight variation on things. I collected the cards. I think Topps used to do a bunch of behind the scenes of photography and they turned those into collections. So you'd go to comic book shops or, things like that and pay a quarter and get like a 6 pack of cards. Just spend your money like that. Bunch of repeats. I mean, I don't know how many I bought, but eventually I did collect the whole set. Took a while.
Oh wow.
nice.
Yeah, we had all kinds of stuff like that growing up, like trading cards and collectibles. And man, now I feel bad because everything is so like you mentioned earlier, it's like at your fingertips that you can't really appreciate how hard it used to be to come by stuff. Like the rumor mills used to be insane of how people would spread rumors, like whether it be how to be an arcade game, like secret bosses kind of deals and stuff, and or just like yeah, like information like the tops that you just mentioned, like collecting those. That used to be what we used to do as kids, whether it be like pogs or like
Fog. I remember that.
I still have my Pog somewhere back in my parents' house.
I wish I did too. I remember I used to be crazy about collecting like X-Men trading cards because the designs were really sick on those cards. Well, Marvel in general had really cool ones. I remember having some Venom ones and yeah, but nowadays you see more crossover. I'm trying to think of, I think Turtles crosses over more so with DC, I think, right? And we saw them cross over
With Batman.
with Batman and recently also crossed over with Power Rangers, which that was crazy.
Yeah. Yeah, there's a mass appeal, with those turtles. The creators, I don't think they knew what that Pandora's box they were opening. To this day, I mean, they're still a popular item and an IP that is just going to keep going. But I still think the original, like the 1990 is how I see them. Because there's been live versions here and there, and they just don't stack up to the original film.
I think they tried to mirror too much what the direction that two had. They got scared about what the first one accomplished and why that was such a strong outing for the IP that deserved to have sequels made for it and made it even bigger than the cartoon was. I know parents were concerned at the time because like the cartoon you mentioned was like bright and colorful compared to like the harsh contrast, like the deep shadows and the it was moody, but it wasn't violent, but it just had a different type of tone to it that I think parents didn't realize that us as kids we appreciate it, because soon after that we got like Batman the Animated Series, which had amazing storytelling. It won awards, man, that cartoon.
Yeah.
And then we also had Gargoyles, fire.
Oh,
Yeah.
Um,
yes.
I admit I never got into gargoyles.
oh,
That's
Eric.
I don't know why. My cousins were into it. My younger cousins were super into gargoyles. I was like, I'm the older kid. I can't be into this.
Yeah, the voice of Spawn, voice Goliath, the main gargoyle. Sick.
Yeah.
So badass. Before parents caught on, there was a trend of going a little bit more sophisticated and somewhat adult. Because when I think adult, I think you're dealing with mature content, you're getting explicit, you're getting violent, you're heading into areas where you gotta wait till you're 18 to explore and see how you feel about that stuff. But when you talk about like real life stuff, like, hey, people pass away, people fall in love, are you talking about normal everyday stuff that you see in everyday life? Why not talk about it? Why try to fluff it all up and hide things from kids?
I guess the authorities above children's entertainment and what you're allowed to show and what you can get away with, like Mud for Blood. Sometimes I get some work and it's a animated cartoon. They ask for that, change that blood into mud. So it's just toning down things. And the original colors for the turtles were all red.
Hmm.
The only reason they were colored was influenced by the cartoon so that it's easier to distinguish between the four of them, even though you can see that with the weapons.
I think it was like more like black and white with just red accent, right? Is what they
Yeah.
did with the original
Yeah.
comic, which is also always a striking aesthetic, when they do something like that again, when you watch like the first Sin City,
Yeah.
things like that, it hits. But for readability, yeah, and for marketability, of course, they got to be different colors. Oh, we didn't even mention why they have the names they do.
Oh yeah.
The Renaissance, the artists,
Michelangelo, Leonardo da Vinci, Raphael, and then you had
Donatello.
oh yeah, classic. And they were all like classic artists around the same like Victorian almost, classically trained in different areas, all in the arts.
I think Michelangelo of the artists was probably the best one. Or at least, that had the most prolific work.
Hmm.
But Leonardo, did the Mona Lisa. So go figure, that's the most famous piece of artwork out there in the world.
Why is she smiling? We still don't know.
But is she smiling?
Oh yeah. Does she watch you as you walk across the room?
Yeah.
I don't know, man.
And wasn't she like a mistress? Isn't that the whole story? I forget. That's true. Yeah, Michelangelo's like the most prolific. Yeah, like inventor,
Well, Leonardo is.
visionary.
Well, yeah, Leonardo, yeah.
Yeah, Leonardo da
Yeah,
Vinci, my bad.
he was the inventor, painter, all of that.
He was a Renaissance man.
Yeah, Michelangelo was assisting Chapo, right?
Yeah, that was his big one.
The David, the Pieta.
Yeah, dude. Seeing all this work in Italy, I mean, that was an awesome trip. Seeing all that stuff in person. Oh yeah, what was like the basic premise, the story of the first one?
Four teenage brothers coming of age movie, except that they're humanoid turtles, and I guess they are just trying to get a slice of the world for themselves. It's just a fun movie to watch.
Yeah, it's pretty straightforward. I just remember like the turtles were thwarting the plans of the Foot Clan, led by Shredder. Do they follow them back? And that's how they find out where they are, and then they get Splinter? Something like that happens.
They start making a friend, April O'Neil. They come back home and is not being on the lookout for yourself and your home. The Foot actually followed them back, Raphael, because he lost his sight. So he tries to get it back and he grabs the attention of the Foot, and the Foot follow him back to the lair. And that's how it happened. Helping April O'Neil, a human, led to their downfall.
The moral of the movie was don't help people. It was a useful thing to teach children young.
I could see that. I could see that.
It's almost like when they taught us in school when we were little, like they don't tattletale. That was a huge thing when we were little. Like now it's like right on everybody. That's right. It was because like Raphael kept going out, was getting attention. And yeah, and that's right. One of his escapades catches the attention of April O'Neil trying to save her. And that just kind of snowballs in this whole thing of wow, they're all in jeopardy. And then they end up crashing at her place,
Yep.
which was hilarious on so many levels. Them trying to hide when she had some unexpected guests. That was a fun scene of like how she notices where they are and then she looks back and now they're gone. It was pretty funny. You know, I thought it had a great balance when I was a kid. Sure, like visually it was dark, but it had its humor, it had its heart. Hands down, I recommend that over everything else they put out, Ninja Turtles, including the latest animation that they put out that they've had on Nickelodeon and that they put out in theaters. I'll still check out the new one when it comes out, but it just doesn't hit the same.
No.
They're not as likable, they're not as relatable. And that's why it's so amazing that they just hit everything the first time out, where it all worked at first. And then it deviated from what was working. Um,
I mean, the second one added Bebop and Rocksteady, and I liked that, but
Well, it wasn't Bebop and Rocksteady.
yeah.
It was Toka and Razar.
Oh, wait, I thought was there one with Bebop and Rocksteady?
There is, but that's the more recent Michael Bay produced ones.
Oh, I thought one of the classic ones had
Mm.
Bebop and Rocksteady.
No, they couldn't use them, so they had to create new characters. And
That's why they created the new ones for two. Two had Super Shredder though, right?
yeah,
yeah,
Okay.
who wasn't that super? He didn't do anything.
not really. No,
The costume for Super Shredder was kind of weird too.
I don't know why Ooze would transform metal and anyways.
Yeah, did you know what the license issue was?
If I was to guess, I'd imagine because they were creations from the original like creators. They were cartoons. They were created in the cartoons.
Hmm.
So maybe that's where the issues come from.
That makes sense. That makes more sense. I always thought that they were theirs, but if they weren't in the comics yet and they were made up for the show, then yeah, that's a whole different rights issue. We gotta deal with whoever put out the cartoon, which I think at the time it was different rights, I think, between film and cartoon. I don't think it was the same company. Yeah, it was because it was New Line who made the movies. And I think it was Fox.
Golden Harvest.
Mm,
It was the most successful low budget film up until the Blair Witch Project.
Oh wow.
Oh,
wow. That's insane.
Yeah.
Because now you have actors and stunt doubles, but the Turtles, they were the stunt actors, at least for the most part. Because I mentioned they did voiceover after, or did they actually do the voice lines on set?
Not really sure about that. I imagine that it was done on set. They had to.
Yeah, the way they did things back then, I just so much more appreciate. I mean, the only time that we have moments like that are impressive choreography wise are when they do like oneers, and those
Mhm.
got really popular with Daredevil. Even the latest Deadpool Wolverine had a oneer at the end, which even that wasn't a true oneer.
I'm thinking most oneers aren't real oneers anymore either.
I saw a recent interview with Charlie Cox, and seasons 1 and 3 of Daredevil were actually true oneers because they did a good job of coordinating with the stunt guy. Of they would just swap places and just keep it going. So it was like him and his stunt double were constantly like moving in and out of frame. And even 3, I was surprised season 3 was a true oneer because that was a crazy, like that prison break sequence,
Yeah.
insane. To think that was a true oneer is wild.
Nothing's ever gonna be hard boiled.
Hmm.
If you guys haven't seen that Wonder in there, man.
I don't know. I'd say the best oneer ever put to film was, has anyone seen Ong Bak
Yeah,
with
Yeah.
with Tony Ya?
yeah, man.
The staircase fight scene to me is still just one of the most amazingly shot. I just have no idea how they planned that one out.
You
It's
know,
like you're throwing people off like 3, 4 stories, and it's like you're
Yes.
watching them hit like
but,
everything on the way down. You're just like, man, you really could not do this shot more than once or twice at most.
Hmm.
well, if you're impressed by that, you should totally check out Hard Boiled.
Oh, I've seen Hard Boiled. Hard Boiled's pretty fun.
Yeah, with Chow Yun Fat.
Yep.
Yeah, that thing is quite amazing.
Hmm.
Another wonder that stands out is the one from Old Boy.
Oh
Oh,
yeah,
of
that's pretty good.
course. Yeah, the one that everyone tries to rip off now.
Mm,
It's some great films. I can't wait till like my buddy G is more free and we just kind of just go through the list of all the big martial art films and just geek out on those because so many good fights, man, that get underlooked and underappreciated. Again, going back to like Ninja Turtles, it was so sick because like those are great fights in the first film, taking out the foot. Of course, it's the classic one goes in at a time type of choreography,
of course.
which is classic. I'm just impressed when I see people in the background look like they're doing something or look like they're figuring out when to go in. They're nervous or anxious about jumping in and fighting the guy next because he's whooping everybody else. I give props to that. The underappreciated background acting.
No, there's a lot.
I guess maybe you have any other like closing thoughts for the first Ninja Turtles live action film?
I did want to say something now. I mean, it's been a while for some of you since you watched it, but because 1 and 2 are probably the best ones of the three. First film, the voices are quite iconic,
Mm,
particularly Donatello's, which was Corey Feldman, and he had that surfer vibe with his voice and everything. And if you watch 2, which again was a year later, his voice was completely changed, and then he became more of what you're accustomed to in the cartoons. Donatello does machines, so he's more the nerd.
hmm.
And then from then on,
Hmm.
he became more nerdy. But part 1, there's no hint of that. There might be a hint, but there isn't anything that really stands out where he would be I guess the mechanic of sorts.
Hmm.
So Corey Feldman's voice was taken out, so he doesn't really sound the same in the second one. It's a completely different voice actor.
Hmm.
Do you know
Uh,
why?
I really don't know. Maybe just budget or whatever it was, because like he didn't get paid a lot. Corey didn't get paid a lot to do the voice for Donatello. It just came out that way. Second part, like it was just a completely different person. Leonardo, I think, is the only one throughout the three films that is the same voice. Raphael
mm.
changed. He sounds the same, but it was by a different voice actor. And I think Michelangelo changed at some point too. Oh, and Splinter was Elmo.
What?
Yeah,
He was?
yeah.
Huh.
Same puppeteer that did Elmo's, same puppeteer that, did Elmo's voice is Splinter.
Oh wow.
That's amazing.
That's epic, man. Splinter was so cool.
I think the voice just added so much weight.
Hmm.
Visually, he just looked cool. Everything about it, they did such a great job, like the puppeteers and, making it believable. And then they furthered their work in part two because you actually got to see him take a few steps, even though you didn't see the full body, but just those little cues of more movement to a character like a rat, just a puppet. So
I don't know why I always thought there was someone inside. I didn't realize it was like a giant puppet.
That's what I thought too.
I think there's parts where they show him his arm or his hand lighting a candle.
Hmm.
Think that was, someone with prosthetics, but other than that, everything else was a puppet.
Yeah.
Mm.
I think Splinter is probably the most impressive puppet on the movie,
I think
Hmm.
so too.
especially just for speaking. Like his speaking, they just were really able to kind of get that kind of like emotion and just reactions, like just a lot of just facial contortions into that puppet.
Oh yeah.
Hmm.
I think my favorite part, Splinter wise, is when Raphael comes back at nighttime and then Splinter scolds him and he asks him to sit down next to him and he lights the candle. Raphael's like, couldn't this wait till morning? And adding to what you were just saying, it's all dark, really. Like there's only so much you can see. But his response is, "You will listen now." And you see someone actually thought of whipping his tail. So you see his tail whip as he says that.
Mm.
I seen like, "You're gonna sit here and listen to me."
Hmm. Ah, it's so cool, man. Like those little details. I think we appreciate that back then too, because we hear so often in these productions, oh, just fix it in post, kind of a deal. Because there's such a like a careless thing of could just fix it later. But back then there was so much attention to like all the little things. And you're consciously thinking about what's in frame and what are we going to do now and not think about, oh, we could just do reshoots later. I think that's why a lot of these movies we see nowadays get in trouble. They kind of rush things out the door and then they have to go back and constantly fix stuff and their budget balloons. And that's why, like you said, like for the budget it had back then, you know, that means like you were very much planning and very much being thoughtful and mindful of everything you do while you're filming.
Oh yeah. I mean, totally different beast too, You're shooting on film,
Hmm.
everything's practical and yeah, the mindset is different. Like nowadays, ballooning budgets and sure it's more work for us, but
Hmm.
sometimes it's just busy work. It's not even something fun.
The amount of times we sit there and think, someone should have caught this.
Yeah. But there's definitely a lot of like, man, I'm just polishing a turd here right now. Like, how can I salvage this
Hmm.
to to make it somewhat watchable?
That's always the worst when we're working on stuff. We just look at each other and we say like, yeah, this ain't going to do well. We're going to get it done and we're going to do what we're asked to do, but we know it's going to be a bust. That always is disappointing, you know? It's not like I think productions like imagine how that one must have been where everyone's like, we're making magic here and everyone's proud of what they're doing, excited to go to work every day and thinking we believe in it and we think it's awesome. And then when it actually is received that way by everyone else, you're on cloud nine.
I'll leave you guys with one last thing.
Mm.
So each of the turtles had a cameo in the movie. The people that played, the turtles in the suits. So even though you haven't watched it in a while, how can you forget the pizza delivery guy? He shows up and then puts the pizza through the manhole cover, but he was Michelangelo.
Oh,
And there's a part where Raphael's chasing Casey Jones, and then he goes, "Damn!" And you see the city from above. As he's running, he gets hit by a taxi,
Oh yeah.
and the passenger in the taxi is Raphael.
that's awesome.
And then there's a Foot Clan member, the one that slaps April O'Neil in the face, that Sony joke. But anyways, he's Donatello. You don't see his face, but he's the guy. And then I think the guy that played Leo, he is in the background when Sam Rockwell is in this movie too, by the way. Sam Rockwell's the guy with the white shirt, and he's like, "We have a loyalty to the Shredder, blah, blah, blah. We're supposed to be a family."
Oh, that's right. Yeah, yeah.
When Tatsu is beating up Casey Jones, Sam Rockwell, that's that guy. But Leo's supposed to be one of the Foot members in the background. a teenage kid. He doesn't have a foot soldier uniform, but he's just somewhere in the background.
Oh, nice. No, that's cool, man. It's always fun to have like those little Easter eggs that you can always refer back to later and be like, oh yeah, there's like more to it.
Yeah, I guess the last little thing, Easter egg wise, would be Archie comics. The Turtles were in the Archie comics at one point. So there's a blink and you'll miss, as they say. When the kids are having fun at the warehouse, playing the arcade games, some are smoking, some are gambling, some are on their skateboards. Well, exactly on the skateboard scene, there's someone that's riding the little path. So the camera starts focusing from afar and then it starts focusing in the middle and then it starts focusing again when the skateboarder passes by the camera. If you look somewhere in the middle of the screen, as it keeps focusing, you'll see a box and the box has Archie Comics on there.
Oh, nice.
It's a blink and you'll miss. It's just a little nod to when the Turtles were in the Archie Comics.
Oh, that's very cool, man. I didn't realize they were on there. Archie has a bunch of guest characters going through that comic book.
I don't know if they were with Archie, but they had a turtle run in Archie Comics. I think that's what I meant.
Oh, that's so cool though that they got published by them at some point.
Yeah.
No, that's awesome. I don't know why. And the moment he started saying it, I'm like, I feel like it's in that scene with all the bad kids. And now I remember, oh yeah, that must have pissed a lot of parents off too. That's right. They were smoking and drinking.
Yeah.
I forgot about that part. That's why they didn't like their kids watching it. That makes sense. That part they should have thought twice about. I mean,
Yeah, I mean, Sam Rockwell's also like, you got any cigarettes? And he's like, regular or menthol?
hmm
A lot of stuff. And, he was slapped in the face too. So,
hmm Yeah, that's his classic. Yeah, man. Ah, so dope. I think that one of the best scenes when they're just hanging out. Hey, where's Raph? He just comes crashing through the ceiling. Oh man, because he just went upstairs to blow off some steam and then he gets ambushed.
hmm
Awesome, man. I love that whole arc of Raph getting rehabilitated. They were all scared and concerned as to whether he's gonna make it or not because he was like just out cold, had to run him a cold bath. I love that part too of just having him like just like soak in the water. Oh yeah, he's a turtle. It's gonna help him feel better.
Oh, and Michelangelo was the only one that wasn't drawn by April.
Oh yeah. Yeah, because I think was it Donnie was fixing the car?
The truck.
The
Yeah.
truck. Yeah. And then Leo was
Sitting down, watching over Raphael.
hmm Yeah, and that's why she drew them both together. Yeah, maybe it's like a deleted scene. I wonder what Mikey would have been doing.
Well, he's the one that took it quite hard, having Splinter gone and everything. In the movie, there's a part where it's all in shadow and it's supposed to be, I say supposed to be, because you hear Raphael's voice shouting Splinter, but it's really Michelangelo. And you could tell because he had his nunchucks
hmm
on his side. So it's Michelangelo's body, but Raphael's voice. So, I think Michelangelo took it pretty hard.
Mm. One of those little oversights. Yeah, it almost feels like it was supposed to be something else and they forgot to swap out and just have him read the line.
Probably.
But it happens. Yeah, I think I remember that too, because I remember as a kid seeing that scene and feeling confused. So I recall that moment, and that's why, because it was like a different voice. Now that was great. And that was one of those things where like they had to take a beat and regroup, but you felt that and it felt earned.
Yeah.
It's not like when they did that in Age of Ultron. Man, I hate that. That scene sucked. Why are they at Hawkeye's house in the middle of nowhere?
For the bread and butter.
Bread and butter.
Bread and butter always makes things better, son. Things make sense when you're buttering some toast.
Mm.
The whole world comes into focus. And then before Vin Diesel said it, you understand the value of family. But it's what the turtles needed to come to an understanding in that moment. Yeah, because when Raph comes to again, like everyone's all happy, and you feel that too. Everyone's all excited and happy that their brother's back. And then they decide to go find Splinter for the finale of the film. Yeah, that third act was dope too. I mean, Shredder just whooping everybody.
hmm
And then Splinter shows up. Oh man.
Yeah,
Mhm.
great, great film, man. I mean, even the editing, even though it seems short, it just was quite violent, I'll say. Leonardo cut up Shredder a couple times, and Splinter, let him go off the roof. So there's that death scene at the end. So I could see why parents were the way they were, but it did a disservice to the second film.
Yeah, because allegedly Shredder was crushed.
hmm
by the, I wouldn't say trash compactor, but he fell into like a, yeah, garbage truck. Yeah.
Yeah. Remembering now, it did have red, I want to say red paint, but as it's crushing down, I don't know if it psychologically, it just makes you think that his head is being crushed and the red that you're seeing is the blood that's coming out of him. But there was already red on the compactor as it's, slowly crushing.
Mm-hmm.
So maybe it just makes you think that that's what you're seeing.
Hmm.
Mm-hmm. No, it was dope, man. Definitely feel like putting it on.
Some minutes you could watch it tonight.
Ah, it's so good. I know I got the whole, I mean, I no longer have a Blu-ray player on my PlayStation because PS5 doesn't have it anymore. But
Which PS5 doesn't have it other
well,
than the Pro?
no, I got the digital only one.
Oh, I forgot they made a digital only one.
I thought I was being clever and smart because I'm like, I only download games anyway. And then you see the size of the games, you're like, oh, I can only fit like five on here at a time.
Yeah.
But we do have a Blu-ray player in the house still. And I do have the box set with the original three films on there. So any given time, just pop it in, watch it. It's a good time.
Let's put it on while you do your work.
I know. Well, we got like a whole list of things we're gonna watch right now. A lot of things came out today.
Mm.
Good stuff. Yeah, guys, any final thoughts you will have about the original Ninja Turtles film?
Yeah, I have one more.
Yeah, I have one more too.
Thanks to Lucas, whenever I think of Splinter now, I just see Elmo. He ruined it. He ruined the movie for me.
I didn't mean to, man, but the more you know.
The more you know.
Elmo, love you. I'll do a better job next time.
I guess my last thing is if you do rewatch it, I watched it so many times, but during the final fight, he goes through all the turtles and Leo's the one that cuts him a few times, and then you see Shredder in pain, like you see him like grabbing his arm where he got slashed. So the next shot directly immediately after, you assume that you would see Leonardo joining his brothers because he's the one that just fought him, but it's Donatello that's joining the brothers.
Hmm.
So Leo's in the back, and Donatello, since he looks similar to Leonardo color-wise, it's Donatello joining the brothers, not Leonardo.
Oh.
So it's a edit mistake, or they just didn't have a shot.
Yeah, one of those little things that slips through the cracks, but you know, it works well enough at the moment because it's quick. So they hopefully
Yeah.
get sneak it past us. But like you said, that happens. Back then there were no reshoots, so you just had to use what you had, and that shot did the job. How about you, Eric? Any last thoughts?
Nope.
You're like the movie was great.
It's just been so long since I've seen it that I can't really say terribly much on the movie.
Oh, fair enough. Yeah, next time we'll coordinate. But yeah, we'll coordinate, make sure we all check it out before we hop on and discuss the next one. Yeah, so I guess with that, we'll just wrap things up. All right, everybody. Thanks for tuning in. Sure, check the next one.